Recording in progress. Thank you, Julie.
Yes. Okay, Boomer, here I am. All right.
You are not a
Go. All right. So we are also doing a lot of new things that we've never done before. And one of those things that I am doing, I have my own business. It's called Julie Kennedy Nutrition. And I am now meeting with patients and clients online. I do telehealth. I specialize in GI nutrition because the reason I went into nutrition, this is actually my second career, was because my daughter and I were both diagnosed with celiac disease. And it was through that diagnosis that I truly developed the passion and the love of food and understanding that the power that it can have in your life. So I went back to school, got a degree, and now I work with a lot of patients from Cary Gastroenterology, but I also get a lot of patients and friends of friends and people from online because I'm also a mother of three. I have a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, and 8-year-old. So, and before I was a dietitian, I was a teacher. So I love children. I love working with kids. So I have a lot of patients that are children. And so I help them with pediatric nutrition. And then I also like to focus on family nutrition because that's just what I do every day. So I live it, I understand it. I am by no means a perfectionist. So I want everybody to know that I'm coming from a place of I have studied, I have read, but I have definitely not figured absolutely everything out. I am still figuring things out, and especially during this time of being at home and this time quarantined. So, wonder why I can't advance the slides.
It's your red arrow. Will it not work?
Yeah, here it's working.
There you go.
All right. So tonight, what we're going to talk about start with healthy habits during quarantine. I think healthy nutrition habits, things that we can do and behaviors that we think about around food. Spend a lot of time talking about this with my clients. I like to look at nutrition as a lifestyle, as behavior, rather than eat this, don't eat this, and don't eat carbs and only eat 900 calories a day. I like to look at behavior. We're also going to talk a little bit about meal planning because I think things look a little different now, as well as grocery shopping. So, when this first started, this may have been what your schedule looked like because it's what mine looked like. We would get up and have breakfast, and then we would have dessert breakfast. And then we would watch the news and we would eat some more. And then we would have some chocolate, and then we might bake a cake. Or then we would have a little lunch, but then a little bit more dessert after that. And then we didn't know what to do, so we would take a nap. And then we would have another snack, and then a weird dinner because my family, we were like, my kids are all into sports, so we weren't used to having dinner together. And then we would have some more ice cream. So the first 2 weeks, we kind of felt like this was a snow day. And that's kind of how we treated it. I feel like after talking to a lot of friends, I feel like they have done that too. But I believe we were processing because this is a very new thing to all of us because our busy lives, and now we're being asked to stay home, to be still and be with our family, and it's such a new concept, but one that seems I'm sort of coming around on. But what I realized after 2 weeks, that I remember that Sunday sitting there 2 weeks after we had been at home and said, we need a schedule. Like, I've realized this is what we're going to do. And so much of that first 2 weeks, I was in denial, like, no, this is not going to happen. We can't do this. No, we can't just stay at home. And then finally, I realized, okay, I think this is what we're going to do. And what I know, what I've done for a long time, is that I realized that meal planning makes me feel comforted. It reduces anxiety. And then I also realized that a schedule, an idea, accepting the fact that this is our new reality. I don't like to say new normal because I don't want this to be our normal, but it is the reality that we're living in right now. And another thing that I realized, I'm trying to advance the slide. There must be a delay or something.
I'm sorry.
Oh, here we go. Another thing that I realized is that we have to take, did you get it?
Are we supposed to be on Maya Angelou?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I realized that we have to take care of ourselves. And the most important way that I can think of and that I've been able to figure out to take care of ourselves is through nutrition, self-care, and by recognizing that we need to also manage our stress. So Maya Angelou has a wonderful quote: when women take care of their health, they become their best friend. And tonight, I want to talk about taking care of our health through nutrition. So one thing with this new at-home schedule or life that we're dealing with, I know that all of you, when you had your kids and that we're going to have homeschool, we figured out that a schedule was important because children love schedules. And I figured this out when I was teaching, that I would have an agenda every day. And if we would have a fire drill or if we would have an assembly, if the schedule got disrupted, my kids would go berserko. I had 8th graders. Well, adults are the same way. We like a schedule. And the reason we like a schedule is because it provides us comfort. It gives us an idea of what to expect. And when things are so all over the place, it makes us feel anxious because we don't know what's going to come next. So when we create a pattern of clearly defining a breakfast, and that may be different every day. You may get up at 7:30 and then you may get up at 8. I'm not saying like put a time on it, but just defining that this is my breakfast, this is my lunch, this is my dinner, and this is my snack. And this is going to be helpful too for our children while they are at home, saying we're all going to have breakfast together and then we're going to not eat for a little while. If we graze all day long, our metabolism is going to become very confused. Our metabolism does like to get the message that we are going to eat, but giving it in every 2 to 4 hours is more reasonable because we have to have time to digest that food. Also, which is coming on up in just a second as soon as I work through this delay, I'm going to try to limit snacking on highly processed foods like chips, cookies, baked goods. Now, this doesn't mean that we cannot have Cheetos in the house or we shouldn't bake a cake, a quarantine cake. Those things should happen. I'm never going to tell you not to have a treat or some chips. But snacking all of that on that all day long as we go over time can start to wear on us. If we think about how we feel after we eat something, after we eat pizza or chips or a lot of high calorie, high fat, high processed foods, we don't always feel good. So we want to judge make our decisions on what to eat based on how we feel afterwards. Another thing to think about is we are eating most of our meals at home. And if we don't buy those highly processed, high sugar, high fat foods, then we can't eat them. So if they're not in our house, then it's not an option. Now, again, keep in mind that I'm not saying that we should never have fun snacks, because we definitely should, kids should, we all should. But we want to think about it in moderation and focusing on having those 3 meals a day and those snacks. Now, when you do have snacks, this seems to be an issue at our house where a lot of people are snacking a lot. And what we've decided is when we have a snack, I have asked the children and the other adults in this house, my husband, that when we have a snack that we put it on a plate. Or if we're going to have some chips, we take them out of the container and we put them in a bowl, and then we put the container, like roll the bag of chips back up and put it back into the pantry. When we just snack sort of mindlessly out of a container or out of the refrigerator, and our body doesn't really understand or can't give us the message that we're full. So we want to make sure that when we snack, that we're snacking in a response to hunger. That's another thing. Are we bored? Are we sad? Are we angry? Are we confused? Are we tired? We want to make sure that when we are eating, it is in a response to being hungry. So ask yourself, and I'll have another slide about this in a second. You want to ask yourself, am I hungry? And how hungry am I? If you are hungry, hear this loud and clear, you should eat, right? But when you eat, I want you to eat mindfully. Like put your food on a plate, perhaps sit down, maybe remove distractions or go sit out on the back porch and really enjoy that food. Like eat it slowly, taste it, look at it, smell it. I tell this to my clients all the time, and I had somebody the other day go, "So you're telling me you want me to taste my food?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I want you to enjoy it and try to eat mindfully. Another thing to think about while you're at home, because it is a different environment, is making sure that you are hydrated. Try to drink at least 64 ounces of water to stay hydrated. And by doing this, you want to keep like a cup near your desk. Our environment has changed. My sister is now working from home, and she told me the other day she went for a big long walk after work, after working from her desk, and she started feeling nauseous, and she thought, well, she thought she had the coronavirus, but luckily she didn't. But she went home and laid down for a little bit, and she realized, she thought back through her day, she had had no water. And just keeping in mind that hydration is going to be a huge part of this process too, while our environment has changed. You know, all of our patterns and all of our routines from before are very different now. So we have to make sure that we introduce these habits of keeping water around and staying hydrated. And try to avoid those sugary beverages like Coke or high sugar juices. Try to practice mindful eating. I talk about mindful eating a lot during our normal busy lives, but I think now is an opportune time to really focus on mindful eating. So when we decide to eat, just like I was saying before, make sure or just think about it. Is it in a response to hunger? If it is, eat. And while you're eating, try to see if you can get in touch with those feelings of fullness. A lot of times we eat so fast or we let ourselves get so hungry that we finally get the opportunity to eat and then we just shovel it in. Well, it takes 20 minutes for our stomach to tell our brain that we're full, for our brain to get that message. If we eat really fast in 10 minutes, then we keep eating, by the time our brain gets the message, then it's too late. We're overly full. So keeping in mind that we want to try to take our time to slow down. The other night we were eating, I noticed the whole family was eating really fast. And since we have time, right? I said, why don't we all just put our forks down for a second and just take a deep breath? And we did. And they were like, how long do we have to do this? And I said, well, I just want us to feel or make sure that we're eating and enjoying our food and trying to move away from shoveling it into our mouth. Another idea for slowing down your eating is to eat with your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you can eat with your left hand, and that really will help you slow down. But slowing down, just like we're doing with the rest of our life, right? We're slowing down, we're looking at nature, we are appreciating our family, and we can do this with food as well. Most importantly, too, along with food, is to make sure that you are staying active. Our bodies store anxiety, holds it up like this. So when we move our bodies, when we go out for walks, when we go out for runs, when we do yoga, when we stretch, that's going to help release that anxiety. I have had plenty of days where I am like Debbie Downer. I'm like, can't do this. This is terrible. And then when I go out for a walk, or a run, literally like 5 to 10 minutes into that exercise opportunity, my attitude legit starts to turn around. Exercise is a miracle drug. So I highly recommend every single day figuring out some way to move your body. And there are so many ways right now to move your body online. And there's all these free trials, like Peloton has a free one. Our friends own a CrossFit gym. You can do CrossFit. You can go to their Zoom classes. YMCA has free online classes, but just figuring out a way. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day. Stretching and yoga is moving your body. So keep that in mind, that moving your body is part of this process and is going to get us through to on the other side of this stay-at-home process on a healthier or get us through in a healthy way. One idea is to seize this opportunity to do something that you've always wanted to do, that you've never had time to do. You can set a goal and you can work towards it every day. Another goal to think about is maybe it doesn't have anything to do with you. Maybe every day you could set a goal to help someone else, to write a letter. I talked to a client the other day that told me that she was writing a letter, like a handwritten letter to all of her doctors and telling them how much she appreciated them. And that was what made her happy. Something else to remember, maybe you don't want to set a goal on quarantine. Maybe you just want to survive this. And maybe you're not going to have picture perfect meals every night and be in the best shape that you've ever been in. But this quote by Brene Brown is one of my favorites. The most important thing I want you to do during this process is to give yourself grace and compassion. This is an awesome quote. She says, I remind myself, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. A 20-minute walk that I do is better than the 4-mile run that I don't. The imperfect book that I get published is better than the perfect book that never leaves my computer. The dinner party of takeout Chinese or Chick-fil-A, I'm going to add that in there, is better than the elegant dinner that I never host. So be kind to yourself. Do not put yourself under tremendous pressure to do all these things. Those things will come. Same with nutrition. So let's talk really quickly about meal planning during quarantine. When I press go, it does not go. So meal planning, the first thing you want to start with is by shopping your pantry. The other day, and the other thing to think about too is we're planning in bigger chunks than we're used to. We are trying to reduce the amount of times that we're going to the grocery store. We're trying to reduce those quick little things that we forgot. So it is going to take more planning. You want to go into your pantry first and do an inventory of what you have. You also want to try to keep it simple. Now is probably not the time to go super fancy and need all these ingredients. Just want to aim for your plate to look like this. Half of your plate fruits and vegetables, quarter grain, quarter protein. Keep it simple. Take the pressure off of yourself. Another idea, we've been doing this in our house, and it was the idea of my oldest daughter, is to have a theme night. So our first theme night was red carpet night. And we aligned our meals with red carpet night. So we all dressed up, and then we had like steak and potatoes and green beans. Then we had camp out night. And for camp out night, we had chicken wings and celery and carrots. But if you notice, we had our protein, we had our vegetables, we had our fruit, and my kids were part of the meal planning. They were part of the preparation. We all cleaned up together. But it kind of like made it a little bit more entertaining or interesting than what we are just the same old thing over and over again. We had another theme that we had camp out night. They want to have gamer night for my son who likes Fortnite, but I don't want to do that. But I was also thinking we could do a Mexican night. We could do an Asian night and just dress up like that and see how fun that would be. And you're
thinking about how that, like, for kids, they're so used to having themes and they're looking for normalcy. So coming from like a, child standpoint here, they're looking for things that happen in their normal life. And a lot of the schools have those theme weeks and different things like that. So that's why your kids are like really latching on hard.
Oh my gosh, they love it. I mean, and it helps with the meal planning. Like we know on Friday night, we're going to have our theme night. And the other part about meal planning that I want to make sure that everybody get this point across clearly is that when we're planning for 2 weeks, and we're planning those well-balanced meals, it doesn't need to be like on Monday, we're having this like hell or high water. You just need to get together a plan for 12 meals or 14 meals that you know you can have in the future. We realize that things are going to be, we have to be flexible. Like tonight, the monster truck came to our neighborhood. So we had to change the plan because that's what we wanted to have for dinner tonight. So just putting a list together, and I have this on a Word document that I can send to everybody after the class. It is not fancy, and you can all probably make it at home, but just keeping it simple and writing it out, making a plan and writing it out provides so much relief of anxiety. And it seems like such a simple thing, but giving yourself that time, like 30 minutes, whatever it is, before you go to the grocery store, doing that inventory and writing out those meals will provide so much freedom and reduction of stress for you that it is totally worth that pre-planning time. So here are just some examples. You'll see that it is not that fancy. So we have sweet potatoes with black beans, salsa, onions, and peppers. Doesn't even have to have meat in it. The black beans are a great source of protein. I do a lot of sheet pans. I'm going to send these all to you guys as well. Red beans and rice with ham. I mean, that's not a fancy meal, but it sure is good. It's a nice pantry staple meal. You can do steak foil packets. So if anybody wants to have the camp out night, we just have a fire pit in our driveway. You can put your food in one of those foil packets and you could actually cook it outside. And then we did s'mores afterwards. And then we went inside. Like, it was not a highly time consuming or anything. The kids just thought it was fun. I have a list too that I'm going to share with you of the websites where I get some of my favorite recipes that are very easy. They're very well balanced. Skinny Taste is a favorite one. Iowa Girl Eats, Cooking Light. And there's another one that Lexi's Clean Kitchen. That is another one. I'll add that to the list. But just going through and looking at what looks good to you, what looks easy, and writing it down, making that plan, and understanding that this is part, like every night, it's so stressful when they come to me, and you guys will probably identify with this, and they're like, what are we having for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know. The night's on your own. But when we have a plan, we actually have a chalkboard that we write it on. That to me is like, look at the plan. That's what we're having for dinner. So it will definitely reduce stress. It will definitely provide some organization, but not overboard to where you feel stressed out. And then one more thing to consider is grocery shopping. There are lots of pantry staples that are very nutritious. Breads, grains, there are lots of sturdy, fresh fruits, frozen vegetables. We have a huge bag of frozen broccoli from Costco that we just toss that in the microwave. It comes in like 4 packets of broccoli, put it in the microwave, and there's our vegetable. Tomato sauce is a great thing to add to an easy meal. You can also have, here it comes, fresh eggs. Those are great. They stay fresh for a long time. It's extremely nutritious. Beans are very nutritious. Nuts and seeds. You can get frozen meats, frozen seafood. We have frozen salmon that we have from Costco. We also have frozen tuna steaks from Costco, and they're very good. This week, we were able to get, a friend of mine has a friend who owns a farm, and they are wholesalers for restaurants. They provide fruits and vegetables to restaurants. Well, since restaurants have reduced volume, they are now selling these vegetable baskets. This is actually the one that we got, and they delivered it to our house. And so when you get this beautiful basket of vegetables, it's like all the motivation you need to cook them. And we even like the carrots, my kids will eat carrots, but these carrots, they literally devoured. And I was like, what in the world is happening here? Why do you guys like these carrots so much? And they were like, oh, they're just so good. They're kind of sweet. And it was just fresh foods taste so much better than grocery store fresh vegetables. So this is also another great opportunity that we can take advantage of here during this quarantine. And then to think about our health and nutrition, good nutrition, like every day, consistent, thinking about things we eat over the day and over time is very essential to a strong immune system. And through this whole virus thought and what we see on the news, we want to think about supporting our immune system. But one thing to just be wary of, there is no one food or one supplement that you can take or buy from Instagram or anywhere that can prevent illness. So we want to make sure that we include certain foods in our diet, in our meals, that will help support that immune system and an overall eating pattern. Those foods are listed here, are those vitamins: beta carotene that we get from sweet potatoes, spinach, carrots, broccoli, and tomatoes. As also vitamin C is another important part of supporting our immune system. We get from fruits, and also bell peppers are a great source of vitamin C. Vitamin D we get from fatty fish and eggs. So if you get frozen fish from Costco, get some eggs from Costco, then you're meeting your vitamin D requirements. Milk, and also there's a lot of juices that are fortified with vitamin D. Zinc is really important in our immune system, and we get that from animal sources like beef or seafood. But if you're a vegetarian, beans and nuts is a great place to find zinc, or to get a good source of foods that contain zinc. Also, protein is important in the immune system. So obviously from meats and beans and eggs. Vitamin A also helps regulate the immune system and keeps our skin and tissue healthy. We get vitamin A from sweet potatoes, carrots, and broccoli. So all those things that were in that basket that we were looking at. And vitamin E is really interesting vitamin because, first of all, it's a fat soluble vitamin. So we need to make sure that when we consume these things that we also consume a source of fat with them. So cereal, sunflower seeds, almonds, and peanut butter are a great source of vitamin E. The one thing that I want you to take away from this, as soon as the slide advances, is that we can let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. It is a famous quote, and it is not the answer, and food does not fix all illness, but food plays a major part in preventing chronic disease. It also plays a major part in our mood. So when we're thinking about being at home, I don't know if you guys have felt this, because I know I have, that some days are just bad days. But I know that when I eat in a healthy way, I know that when I eat more fruits and vegetables, when I get that beautiful basket, it just gives me that charge of feeling good. It does have an impact on our minds. There is no perfect meal plan. So don't feel like you're failing if you don't have the perfect meal plan. Just do your best, serve fruits and vegetables, and try to get some whole grains in there when you can, and enjoy this time with your family.
Thank you. I love that.
And we're getting this last slide coming as soon as it registers. There it is.
Yep. So any questions? Julie's got her information there. We'll give you a quick second to jot that down if you need it. And we do have one last slide because, the Nurtured Nest, we worked with Julie and she does have her Feeding the Family class. I think we have decided it's really better in person, but we want to offer you all food and nutrition because I know for me, in my family, in Nurturing My Nest, food is one of the biggest stresses on meal planning. And so we'd love to hear from you if you have any ideas, things that you think could be helpful, whether it's, free session like this, We are considering, Julie and I were putting our heads together earlier, a digital date night, where you and your partner would cook together with us. Um, we just thought that that might be a fun way to reconnect. I know that I can't be alone in that my marriage is not in tip-top shape after 6 weeks of 24/7 and, add kids to that. So we're just trying to think of creative ways that we can, you know, help you out in multiple categories. But um, if you have any needs, if you felt like this was helpful, or if you feel like a meal planning session, we just would like to know. I actually am going to send out from the Nurtured Nest, if you're on our newsletter, we're going to be sending out a survey next week to kind of feel you out, figure out what your needs are right now and how we can help. But I don't see anything. Any questions? Everybody hung in, so thank you guys for being here tonight. I love Julie's kind of realistic approach. Ever since taking her class originally, Julie's kind of my head in the kitchen, and when I'm planning my kids' meals out or I'm putting things together for them, I think about what she says about the proteins, the fruits, the vegetables, and the whole grain. And when you think of a plate that way, even when building it for yourself, it's really easy to add something or to know what's missing. And to also know what's missing and then be okay with it. Because Julie said that not all meals are like that. Um, I loved your comparison to a snow day. I'm still living in snow day. I'm living in Easter. Um, I'm having a piece of Easter candy still, like daily, and not just a small piece, like a Cadbury egg or
All
yeah.
right.
So those things need to leave because I'm not having, it's just not good. I don't feel good. So thank you. That was encouragement for me. I hope that it was for everybody else.
And I'm going to send out those meal ideas and recipe links for those websites if you are looking for inspiration when you're putting your meal plan together. And I also have the 2-week meal plan template on a Word document. And again, it's not super fancy, but it's just nice to have that structure or box around the meals that we're writing.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I like a good jot down. And Laura just commented, good foods for the immune. That is one of the biggest questions we keep getting from our expectant moms right now, is they're asking what supplement they can take. And all of our other medical folks that have chimed in have just said, look, like this takes more than just a supplement for a week, that your immune system is built over time. And I think that the internet tells us otherwise, but that just reiterate, like, your immune system takes time to build, and it takes
Re-emphasizes the importance of trying to get fruits and vegetables in and make them half your plate, because that is where those vitamins and minerals are coming from. So mostly, I mean, there are other sources, but just focusing on getting in those servings of fruits and vegetables every day.
Last chime in is that Need More Farms. I know that some of you guys have Holly Springs addresses. I'm in Holly Springs. Need More Farms. I'll put it in the chat in a second. But if you follow them on Facebook, you can actually text them an order for pickup or delivery as well. So I'm loving seeing these farms. It's a great place too because it's open air. So if you do want to go shop there, you can. But I'm seeing how some of these fitting to help us get what we need. And it's like pushing you to, I mean, because it's much easier to get an order there than it is at the grocery store, who then you don't know, like, are they going to have blueberries this week? Are they still going to cost $7 a pint? So anyways, so thanks for calling that out. I like that. That produce, that stand though, aren't they out of the, is that at the is the State Farmers Market, the Jones Group?
I'm not sure. They're friends with my neighbor, Kristen. So she told us about it, and I followed them on Facebook, and we all ordered those baskets, and then we were passing around recipes and stuff that we did to use the stuff in the basket. It was it's been so nice.
I know. Oh yeah. And Nemore, it looks like somebody else has gotten some fruits and vegetables. They had watermelons that were delicious. And I mean, it's only April, right? It's still just April. And it is April.
Okay,
Anyways, so, well, thank you guys. I appreciate you being here tonight. Julie, I appreciate you sharing your wisdom. I always love listening to you because I just learn. She's just got all this knowledge in her head. So, cool. Y'all take care. It was good to see. I see lots of familiar faces tonight.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Okay. Bye. Thank you, Julie.
Thank
I
you.
think you actually have to close this puppy down because you're the host.
Okay. Stop the recording.
Okay, perfect. It'll show up on my end and I will post it and we can share it through your social media as well.